picture vehicles and other set pieces that we look at now from the Jurassic Park series, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3. It's very cool to set pieces up for you to look at because the last Jurassic Park movie came out over 7 years ago. Normally they don't save set pieces that long. And the dinosaurs themselves, they're pretty much all extinct these days. Apparently, dinosaurs aren't quite as extinct as I implied they were. Which just goes to show you that extinctions are always only temporary here in Hollywood. Now, a lot of the trees and the dinosaur bones out there off to your left side are made out of styrofoam. That's just one of those other special effects that goes into making a dinosaur movie like Jurassic Park. Now, some of the vehicles that you just saw in person, here's what they look like in the lights from Jurassic Park. Now, you probably know that those dinosaurs there aren't real, but you might not have realized that the trees weren't real either. And there are other effects, too, that you might not have thought about. Like the fog and the mist, which really help to add to the mood of a movie like Jurassic Park. Now, with weather effects... I'm talking about weather. I have access to America's favorite weatherman. You know him, you love him. Here he is, the Today Show's Al Roker. Al?
Hi everybody, here's today's forecast for the Universal Backlot. It's going to be sunny and dry in 6 Points, Texas. Cool and cloudy in Little Europe. Expect snow and sleet on New York Street, and we've got a high chance of fog and precipitation for Skull Island, Amity Island, and Isla Nublar. That's your forecast for today. Now here's a look at what's going on in your neck of the lot.
Flash flood? That doesn't sound so good. I don't think we need to worry about a flash flood. I mean, it's been pretty sunny and dry out there today. Until now. Okay, well, even with the rain, I don't think we need to worry about a flood. That's just UV rain. It's created with overhead sprinklers that are hiding the water that you can camera. Water straight out, even the waterfalls down naturally like the rain. A lot of the rain is that lighting is under lighting. A pre-recorded sound effect we could add it during post-production and intense hot light again added to the camera. These raindrops are larger than real raindrops are, but that's so that they show up better on film. I don't think that's actually got a flash flood. So I think this might be one of the rare instances where Al look out, look right, there is a flash flood, watch out! Actually, we're all in this together. The flood effect is created with thousands of gallons of water kept in tanks to the top of the hill. After the water comes down, it goes through the drain to the size of the funnel back up to the top of the hill where it goes into the drinking fountain to the park. Or when it goes back into the tanks for waste. And the next time you need to use that, like it's a big style iron.
You can't outrun the wolf, kid! Yeah, we'll see about that.
That's actually Paul Giamatti there on your screen. He was nominated for an Oscar for a different movie. And as we can say, all through the streets of Mexico, you might recognize this plaza from TV shows like Crossing Jordan or Heroes, or Without a Trace, or from movies. You can see this plaza right now in theaters in the Paramount movie Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Those scenes there, as well as countless television commercials from Mexican fast food. And just like that, we leave Old Mexico, travel north just a little bit, and I'd like to welcome you all to the West. Welcome to an area we call 6 Points, Texas. Just about every famous movie cowboys moseyed on up and down these streets. Who gets it? Holly Murphy, Jimmy Stewart, Del John Wayne, the cast of the movie Jimmy Stewart, you might not have thought about before, like one of the stars of Stephen Colbert's Color Movie Goldberg. What can you tell us about this area? Anything?
Did you know that more movies have been shot on these streets than any other spot in the world? Wow. Now, during the silent film era, they could shoot up to 6 movies at the same time, one on each one of these 6 streets.
Okay.
That's why it's called 6 Points, because each street had its own bank, its own sheriff's office, its own saloon, and its own hotel.
Amazing.
Now, it turns out that this town ain't big enough for both of us. So get on back onto your tram, stagecoach thing and get the heck out of here. Go on. Go on.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, one of the reasons this town isn't big enough for all of us is that most of the buildings are, again, facades, just the fronts and the sides of the buildings. Build what the camera sees, your imagination fills in the rest. Take a look at the last building here on your left. You can see it's just the front wall of the building. If we were going to film in front of it from the street here, we could put some curtains in the windows, and from the front, it would look like a full-size building. If we round the corner, you can see the side view of the building. You can see just how skinny the building actually is. It's one of the few places in Hollywood where something very, very thin pretends to be much wider than it actually is. Now, it's kind of strange to see the backside of a facade like that. Another strange thing about these buildings is that some of the doorways are a little bit smaller than normal. Some of them are a little bit larger. If we had an actor who was a little bit shorter, we could put him in a smaller doorway, like a big tough cowboy. And if we had an actress who was a little bit taller, we could put her in a larger doorway. She looked a little more demure, damsel in distress like, and in need of rescuing from a big tough cowboy. Just another example of that Hollywood illusion, tricks we can play with a camera. Now, we can play tricks with the camera on all sorts of areas on our lot, make an area look like a completely different location. A great example of that is the strange-looking cylindrical contraption that is coming up on your left side. I'll put it up here on your screens as well so you can get a really good view of it. It is our underwater tank. Now, we can take this tank, fill it up with water, and then throw some actors inside. And then there are these handy-dandy hatches, these windows on the sides that we can film through, keeping the camera and the director dry on the outside while our actors are inside getting wet.
I found the snake!
This is where Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd battled a giant snake in the hit comedy Dragnet. It's also been used many other times over the years. It was used for a lot of TV shows like ABC's Alias. It's also been used for still photo shoots by Disney oftentimes. And it's also where Kramer swam in the East River on the TV show Seinfeld, which took place in New York City, but that entire show actually filmed here in Los Angeles. And speaking of using areas here in Los Angeles as parts of New York, this area out here off to your right side, this green grassy park-like area, this is the entirety of New York City Central Park. Now you might be thinking, come on Nick, that's awfully small to be New York City Central Park, but it has its advantages. You see, you could jog from one end to the other. Workout's done in a snap. But seriously, put some actors out there and film real tight shots so that you can't see a whole lot of what's going on behind the actor, just enough to tell that you're at a green grassy park-like location. Then we can take that scene and we can cut to stock footage, previously filmed scenes of real Central Park, go from one to the other, and you can't tell the difference that our actors are really right here on the back lot. Just another bit of that Hollywood illusion there. Now, I'm sure you've all noticed by now that there's a tram sitting right over there in front of us. Now, sometimes, right now, I wish that you didn't see a tram right there on the screens, but sometimes you are supposed to see a tram on your screens, because this tram, I was talking about picture cars earlier, this tram is actually one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Yeah, check it out here on your screens. You can see how this tram has appeared when you're supposed to see it. You know, it could mean that all of this time, Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes have been sitting next to you. Not likely, but it could, because you can see they have been on the tram before.
Hi, how you doing? Nice stuff. Autographs.
One of the greatest TV shows of all time.